Now, the Calvinists will be quick to say, okay, Kyle, God can be drawing all men to himself, but unregenerate man is dead, spiritually unresponsive. So even if God's drawing in his grace, that will have no effect on the dead man. Well, let's talk about Ephesians 2. Here's Ephesians 2 again. You were dead in the trespasses and sins. When Paul said to the Gentiles they were dead in Ephesians 2, here's your question. Is this literal spiritual death? Or is it a metaphor? Did Paul mean they were a spiritual corpse, unable to trust in God? Or did he mean they were cut off from the life giver and eternal life? Well, let's just try to be consistent as we look throughout the New Testament. Look how dead is used in Romans 6. This is speaking to Christians. Paul says this, how can we who died to sin still live in it? Let me ask you a question, Christian. Are you spiritually unresponsive to sin? Do you have no will to sin? Is that what dead means? Spiritually unresponsive? Listen, I'm going to go out on a limb. My temptation, or my thought is that you probably are tempted to sin often. And you do sin, because you're just like me, right? Spiritual death here cannot mean unresponsiveness. Dead in Romans 6, we can still sin. We can still do the things of our flesh. So even though we are dead to sin, it's speaking positionally. It's not saying that we are unresponsive. How about Revelation 3? This is written to the church in Sardis. This is to believers, to those who are born again by the Spirit, who are not unregenerate. Jesus says this. He says, I know your works. You have the reputation of being alive, but you are dead. Wake up. Strengthen what remains and is about to die, for I have not found your works complete in the sight of my God. Question, does dead mean totally unresponsive? If it does, Jesus seems to be wasting his time because he's telling them to wake up. This is a church. They're believers. They're born again. Dead does not mean totally unresponsive. The whole point is you need to wake up and strengthen what remains so that what's left will not die. It's a metaphor. It means your works are worthless. How about the prodigal son in Luke 15? The father celebrates. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. Was the prodigal son spiritually unresponsive? Or was he positionally dead because he was cut off from his father's inheritance? In fact, while the son was dead, away from home, that's when he woke up to his senses, right? He's eating pig slop and he goes like, man, what am I doing with my life? I want to go back home. Brothers and sisters, if your whole theology of spiritual unresponsiveness is built on the word dead in Ephesians 2 or Colossians 2, you might want to reconsider. What if it's just a metaphor? That's not really what it means. Because look how it describes it in all these other passages in the New Testament. I think you're asking that passage to do too much.